After New Year, we went to visit another consistently high-performing handler. We went across the water to see Neil McVicar at Benmore.
Yeah, so he lives he's on his own farm, just by the botanical gardens there, and it's just stunning. There's Loch Eck, it's surrounded by mountains, it's proper hill ground. He's got some in by down by the river.
It's proper Scotland, isn't it?
Yeah.
I kind of like was wanting to break out in the Outlander theme tune all the way there. It just felt so Scottish.
Nice, we got to see him run two of his dogs.
Yep, Mark and Pete.
Yeah, they've been good performers, haven't they?
Neil won the qualifying at the last Supreme at Carmichael. He won the drive-in. He is just very consistently in the team, consistent at getting through to finals, and he did actually win the Supreme with a dog called Spot in 2005. Yeah. Which is a fair accolade. So we just kind of wanted to go and see him on his home turf, get an idea what the terrain's like there and how he trains, what he looks for in a dog, and just a general chit chat, wasn't it? It was really nice.
Yeah, some of his stories were so funny as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoy.
Has this always been your farm?
Yes, yes.
So you were
Grandpa
born...
came in 45.
Right.
And I was born here, yeah. Yeah, so I was the third generation.
Yeah, that's incredible. And so it's like so how many days did it take you to gather it?
Well, there's 4 different horses, so 4 of us could do it in 4 days. But you maybe another 4 or 5 days rounding the ones up you missed.
How many sheep was there on that?
There was 800 ewes, 200 in each horsel.
So there were blackies previously.
They were all blackies.
They're all blackies.
Yeah.
And now you're sort of making this. You've got a couple of.
I've always had mules on the fields, but just with it getting wetter and wetter, wasn't really suiting the mules. So, and there's not so much money in the blacky lambs as a cross lamb, so I went to Cheevets.
Yeah.
I topped them with the Texel.
Okay.
So you get a nice skinned lamb.
And how much in buy have you got?
There's about 250 acres.
Okay, oh, that's pretty decent. And is it all sort of like waterside like this?
Aye, most of it is, yeah.
It's quite extreme land here because it's like steep and rocky, and then it comes to like really fertile, flat, nice land.
It is quite gravelly, you know. It'll be where the glaciers came down.
Aye, so like gravelly. close to the stone, I guess.
Yeah.
Be very fertile then.
Aye, it's not too bad.
So, well, should we just get a dog out and?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right,
but we always into the dogs.
I like the dogs.
To be, actually, if you've got bits like that to gather.
Well, that's when I was a teenager. I didn't have very good dogs at all, and it was a nightmare up there because, as you know, the sheep are the best judges of a dog. And as soon as the dog made a bad turn, well, they were going in all directions. And after having to go back up trying to get sheep in, and that's probably how I got so good at reading sheep, because the dogs are so bad. So I was 19 before I really got a decent pup, and that's.
I think gathering places like this, because you do tend to gather in teams.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of like, it doesn't half make you sharpen up your game because you know that other people are watching.
Well, especially when it's my uncle and my cousin who's the same age as me, and I had the worst dogs out there, and we were fairly competitive in it.
So the pressure's on to like
pressure's on to get a wee bit better dogs.
Aye, and you get.
I did get reminded of it quite a bit.
Yeah, especially because it's like it is a group effort. You know, you're all trying to get the sheep, and if you're stood there watching someone else's sheep go either flying down the hill or flying back across the hill, that's good motivation.
Yes.
What kind of dogs did you start out with then?
It was kind of half beardie, half collie, and it wasn't the best out in the hill.
When did you get your first good dog then?
Well, I was just turned 19 when I got a pup from John McKillop, who worked in Glenmasson.
Oh yeah.
In the next Glen, and that turned out to be the best hill dog I ever had.
Really?
Yeah.
And did you know right away? Like, were you like?
No, not right away. But as soon as I started gathering, I'm tremendous in the hill. I thought, oh, this is a. But I didn't really do many trials then. No. Just did the locals.
But it must have been like satisfying to go out and go, oh yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And then you say it's the best one you've ever had.
The best hill dog I've ever had.
And have you got any of that blood left?
No. That was a long time ago.
Not even filter down.
Maybe somewhere. There will be something.
Did you trial with him?
just locally. He wasn't. His mother had failed the eye test, so he wasn't registered. So he was about 3 years old before a retired shepherd came up, John Kennedy, and he gave me quite a bit of advice. And so the next one, he says, your next dog will be better, next dog will be better, which he was right.
Aye.
And I thought, well, so I started selling one or two, because the pups I was getting at the time, everyone was turning out.
Wow. You were
And
thinking,
then
I've got this code cracked.
And eventually the pups weren't turning out. And so you do get reruns of runs
You
of
do,
them.
don't you? I remember at the beginning, you think everything you touch turns to gold.
Gold, yeah.
And then you
It
realise...
was at the start.
Yeah. And then I realised it's not always like that, and it's
No.
not as easy. At the
No,
beginning you think, oh,
definitely
it's
not.
dead easy, this training malarkey. We'll just... So you were telling us earlier about your dog Shep.
Yes.
And what was he like? How old were you when you had Shep?
I was 19 when I got him as a puppy.
Aye. And he was a bit of a character, wasn't he?
He was, out with what he did now. I mean, you could put him anywhere in the hill. Just, you didn't need to see sheep or anything. You could just place him anywhere in the hill.
Do you think he just instinctive?
I think so. And if you're gardening on one side, you could leave him and go over the other side and come back, and 2 hours later, and he's exactly where you left him. You know, and he just carries on again. So he was a really good work dog. And
you hear about talent like that. It's not so often you see it anymore.
But there was a couple of quite impressive stories with him.
Yeah?
What age did you do? 4 or 5 maybe, and we gathered with the neighbours, and then we stopped. We went our separate ways, but Shep didn't realise this. He was never tied up in the kennel, and he would just lay in the shed at night, and when I come out in the morning, he would come out, have a stretch, and that was us for the day.
Aye.
So he's never...
That's proper nice old-fashioned way of having them, yeah.
So he heard the neighbours gathering, and they'll come round to Hill Park, and anyway, he went across the field, swam the river, through a caravan site, crossed the main road, and jumped into the Hill Park, and went away up and helped him get the sheep in.
You're joking.
And the lambs breaking, I loved it. So
without you, just
I
did it on his own
I
accord.
didn't even know he was away. So it was about 3 months later, my cousin was telling me that because he was out gardening, and he says, Shep came over and helped us. And as soon as we closed the front gate, he just took off again and went away back home.
And did you not think that was remarkable? Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, I know, I hadn't a clue he'd even been away.
But he understood the job, and he was like, these guys need me.
They're gathering without me, what's going on here?
I just love that. That's like so cool. It just shows you how clever they are.
Another clever thing he did, there was a woman came to line her bitch, and she stays in the next glen, so it was about 3 to 4 miles away. And she came down with the bitch in the afternoon, and Shep did the business. And, he must have got a bit frisky through the night. So he took off. I didn't even know how he knew where she stayed. He had to go through the gardens, through deer fences. I don't know how he got up there. But she kept her bitch in the kitchen. So he arrived at the porch door, and she had a cat flap on. So he ripped that off, made it big enough to go in. So that was him in the porch, and then started on the kitchen door.
You're joking.
And of course, her bitch is barking, so it woke her up, thank goodness. So she came down before he did too much damage, and I said,
What? Like a talent though, to be able to know where the bitch had gone, and also to be able to break down. That's pretty
I don't know how he knew. So she walked just past the farm, and she had an old Datsun truck, so there's no back in it, and that's just where the bitch sat when she was working. So she says, I'll just keep Shep till she's all... That's fine. So I would see Shep passing by, and he's sitting in the back, and he's panting away. He wouldn't even look in my direction.
So this is my new home.
So 4 days later, he just appeared at the back door, and that was him back to normal again. He just came home himself once she went off.
When you charged her a stud fee, did you knock off the cost of the door, the kitchen door, the front door?
Fortunately, she was that impressed, and she was having pups out of this dog, and she was quite happy.
I love that. These are the sort of stories that no one would ever believe, but they actually do. They're remarkably talented creatures, aren't they?
He was a bit special.
That is a bit special. I remember asking you about your spot dog and saying, what was he like on the hill? And you said he was good on the hill, but he wasn't as good as Shep. And I always thought, like, how can a dog win a Supreme, but yet not be the best you've ever had? Then you said, like, this dog obviously was a talent. But I always think of the early ones, the ones that get you into it, aren't they?
Absolutely. And he was my first dog, so the whistles I had for him weren't the same as the next dogs that came along. So I changed. I kept him in his whistles, and he realised that the turn-back whistle for the other dogs, he took it on himself.
He learned it.
As soon as I gave them their turn-back whistle, he was away.
Aye, he knew. He's like, don't worry, I'll sort this.
I know that whistle for them. So he was away helping.
Some talent, isn't it?
Yeah.
You wonder there isn't many of them made anymore, though, is there?
I don't think so. I don't think
I
so.
bet you'd like to have Shep now.
Yes,
I think
definitely.
we'd all like a Shep now.
Aye. There's a few dogs I'd like back again.
I know.
But
They don't live
everybody's in
long
the
enough,
same
do they?
boat.
I
No, they
know.
Especially
You never.
the good ones. The good ones. I mean, the ones that you're not maybe just as keen on, they seem to last forever.
Oh, aye. Keep licking their pots. What are these?
G-Baits.
What? No, but like, are they feeding sheep in lamb? Or
Yeah,
are they?
yeah. Well, hopefully they're all in lamb. We'll be scanning at the end of the month.
So what have you tapped these with then?
Texel.
Texel.
There's one or two blackies in. They went back to the blackie. But mostly
So will
G-Baits.
you? Do you sell them in the store, or do you kill them, or what?
No, they all get sold in the store. It's just, the ground's just not quite good enough for the...
What year did you win with Spot?
2005.
That must have been amazing. Did
It
you
was.
know when you were going? Did you know that your dog was on fire and won form?
No, I wasn't, I wouldn't say I was really confident, but the week before I was out in the hill and I was after roughies. So there was about maybe 20 that got away between two hills and this bit, and I went for them. I thought this is an ideal time to practice a double lift. And I got all the sheep in and I thought that was fantastic. So well, maybe he's got a wee chance.
I'll give you that.
But I've had so many bad experiences at the International, I was never overly confident.
Yeah?
Yeah.
In what way?
Well, a year before, in 2004, I had a wee bitch scale and the weather was horrendous down in Wales. Absolutely horrendous. And I was first on in the morning, the Supreme. I didn't even get the sheep. She was out halfway out and couldn't hear me. I was just a disaster.
But I suppose it's such a mass. I always think it's such a huge jump from qualifying to that double lift.
Yeah.
Like you go from qualifying, which is national sized course, to the international course, and it's just so vast, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you're in a good place here for.
So I went from being last in Supreme to first the following year. So
isn't that incredible?
it was.
So were they were obviously in your kennels at the same time?
Yes.
And did you know, like at that point, did you know that Spot was had it in him to do that, or?
He was a very good finishing dog. Very, very rarely didn't pen with it. He was a fantastic penner and good shedder, and all round good dog.
Yeah. And how does he compare to the two you're running at the minute?
I'd say he was probably a wee bit ahead of them.
Yeah. Although, this dog.
But they both go back to him.
Yeah.
One's a grandson and he's a great grandson of Spot.
He must be a breeder as well, because he bred 2 Supreme Champions himself, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Impressive to have those bloodlines.
Yeah.
Look well they use.
That's his gummers.
Look really good.
This is helping now. They did go back that last couple of weeks, all that rain.
I know, didn't it? A bit this fresh bit. Nice pictures of him there. So bright.
Stand. Yeah. Lie down.
What age is Pete now?
I think he's 6, I think. 7, 6 or 7.
In prime?
He's probably past his prime.
That is a lot. What's he like on the hill?
He's good.
Yeah.
Because his speedium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aye, so you can get there where he needs to be.
Aye.
You can't have something that's just trotting its flanks round on the arm. Like.
No, they can run pretty fast up there.
So you were saying before about Misty. I think that must have been a bit of a low point, because I watched her. I didn't know you at that point, but I saw her in qualifying there, and then in the Supreme. But you say you lost her. She was just young, wasn't she?
Aye, she was going on 7, I think, 6. She was 6 at the time, I think.
But she qualified. I remember she qualified when she was a baby the first time, wasn't she? She was only like 2 years old.
I ran at the nurseries in January, and the first nursery, you wouldn't even thought she was broken. She did it. She basically went straight out of the course, set on them, started taking them to a man at the top, got around. She couldn't get them down to me fast enough, didn't stop. driver's a bit of a disaster, and the whole thing was a shambles. And then after that, so by September that year, she was in the Supreme.
It just shows you,
Just,
isn't it?
aye,
So
she
what did
come
you
up quick.
put in the meantime to get her shaped up to that standard?
I used that lambing time.
Uh-huh.
I started training a bit at the lambing time.
And do you
that
lamb
helped
in the parks down
Yeah,
in the yeah.
So she learnt quite a bit then,
And then
just
next year's in the
gradually
Supremes.
put it in the
Yeah. So what
She didn't do so well in the Supreme. Again, she could. It was a big flat course. It wasn't just suiting her.
Yeah, I remember
And
it.
it was pretty wet again that morning.
Yep,
I think I was quite early on, and no, again, that was another disaster.
Aye. But you've got to be in it. I think you've got to keep knocking on the door, haven't you? And be there. And
she made two. She qualified another 2 times, but just failed to get to the Supreme. And then, she had 14 pups inside her.
Was there 14?
She had the first one out, and then wasn't coming, so I took her to the vet, and the vet said he was taking the last one out when her heart gave up. All 14 were living. So these 14 pups and no bitch. So
all 14 made it after.
Well,
what?
they made a couple of days, and I was feeding them every couple of hours and white hours.
It's a hiding to nothing.
One took one died, a wee infection, and it just went next day another one. So it wasn't a pleasant time.
No, I've never heard of many success stories that with hand-rearing puppies. They're just a nightmare.
Yeah,
they just can't seem to. They inhale the milk. I think it just gets into their lungs, and yeah. Oh, that was. Did you end up? Did you salvage anything out of that litter, or was the whole lot?
They all went just one after the other.
Oh, just horrible, isn't it? So I guess that would be one of the low points.
It was one.
Yeah.
So but the disappointing, when you do get disappointments, and then you get a good, it does make the.
Yeah, well, you got the winning the Supreme to kind of,
It can't all be roses. You know,
no.
You've got to take the disappointments with it.
I think it's always nice speaking to people, and those big highs are always partnered with something rubbish that happens.
Yeah.
There's no one ever gets to the top just plain sailing.
No, everybody's got the disappointments along the way.
Absolutely. Over the years, you'll have seen a lot of dogs trialing.
Yeah.
Is there any dogs alive or dead that you've seen that you really admired?
Thinking back, yes, there's been a few. The first national I went to was in Thurso, 1992, I think it was. And Bobby Dale's Wisp was outrageously good that day. I couldn't believe it. The wind was blowing right in his face, and that dog just did everything. Well over 200, I think 208 points he finished that.
I would have loved to have seen that.
That was tremendous.
He looked a great dog. Yeah.
So that was one that got.
Yeah.
Got the first thing, and geez, so it can be done.
Yeah. No, he's a hell of a dog. We'd all like him in our kennels for sure.
Exactly. And then Bobby's Jim, I liked him.
Oh yeah, he was a good breeder. He bred a bit, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, that's who Spot goes back to as well.
Is it? Of course.
He's a grandson of Jim.
Good bit of blood.
Yeah.
If only I had some semen left over from those dogs. Can you imagine what it would fetch on the market now?
I know. So there was a couple, and then Johnny Wilson's maid. Lovely wee bitch.
Yeah, I've read about her. I've never got to see her.
Watching her at International was fantastic.
Yeah, he seemed to have consistently good dogs. He always seemed to be there or thereabouts.
Never far away. Yeah. Latterly, obviously, Key was very impressed.
Yes, okay, yeah. So, she is. I mean, she is phenomenal, isn't she?
Yeah.
He's a good lad.
Good boy.
What makes you like him better than Pete then?
He's nicer to handle in the driving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
In what way? Just more flexible or just
easier?
Yeah.
Just more pliable. A better finisher. Good at the pen and good at shedding.
Yeah.
Like to break.
Yeah, it was. I was going to say it was fairly easy, but none of them are easy.
No.
It was nice because he was so keen. Yeah. Makes a difference when they're keen.
And was he started right from the get-go? Was he?
Yes, and because I had lost Misty when she was pupping, he had to come out a lot earlier.
Aye, yeah.
He wasn't ready when he first came out. So he's only 4 now, but he's
done a lot.
He's done a lot. He won't be 5 till the spring.
Sometimes the good ones come forward when you need them, though, don't they?
Yeah. He's had to. He's had to
Takes
buck his
life very
ideas
seriously. This is going to be the lead photograph, I think.
Aye, you don't like doing that.
I think sometimes some of the more modern ones are so tense that they're just like, and I've got a couple in my kennels, and there can be kind
I
of.
think it's the dog food half the time. You know,
I
you
think
go back years ago, it was the flake maize and
aye.
the meal, and
I think it's like blue Smarties for them. They're just like,
yeah,
you know, they've got all this energy and they don't know where to put it.
I know.
So they just bounce in their kennel and, you know, just.
I don't remember having any tense dogs 30, 40 years ago. My father was the same, just had hill dogs.
I think the Scottish dogs are kind of less tense. But I think the way we keep our dogs is so different to how we used to as well. Like, once upon a time, there'd be a couple of dogs would be kicking around the yard and stuff, and now there's like a row of 20 dogs all doing,
I know.
you know, bouncing around, and you know, it's noisy environment for them as
The
well.
old days you would walk out and the dogs would walk with you, but now you jump on a quad bike, dogs are on the quad bike. It's all completely different.
And is that how you get them fit for national and international, just through work and coming along with
Yeah, used to always be doing the Gallon in the middle of July, and that 2 weeks they did get fit for the national. I noticed that.
Yeah.
Just the last 4 or 5 days just working in the fields, and it does fit them up.
I can imagine like that, climbing up those hills.
Aye.
It's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
So it's bound to condition them.
Did you take them off work at all before the national, international, or just same as?
Maybe the hill, because you maybe just worried something might happen out there, you know. So 4 or 5 days before it, and then just light stuff in the fields, leading up to the national, international, maybe a bit of shedding. That's all I do.
You're really good at the shedding in the ring. Like,
no,
how
I'm
do you?
Sure about that.
I think you are. Yeah, you are. You are. Like, do you practice that?
Not too much. Not too much. No, probably. So I probably should practice more than what I do.
You wouldn't. Would you ever go and put collars on sheep and practice that specifically? No.
No, I've never done that.
No, but you just just say it's like a group like this and just work it.
Just work it. Yeah.
Peeling off ones.
The most important thing is reading the sheep.
Yeah.
You know, you got to read them.
You're really good at reading sheep, but obviously you've said like this sort of ground does make you good at reading, because you either do it right or it all goes wrong.
When I first kind of started, and I wasn't getting the sheds very good, and I started watching Johnny Wilson, and he was a master in the shed, and I thought, how does he get the shed every single time? You know, I thought that's not just luck. So I started watching what he was doing, and I learned as much watching what he did as practicing as well.
And what did he do?
I noticed he used the dog as little as possible, because as soon as you start moving the dog about, the sheep get kind of spruced up a bit.
Yeah.
So he just, when he needed it, it was there and he used it.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating just watching him.
I think like blackies especially, they teach lessons really quickly, don't they? Because if you've got a dog that whips around, or if you get excited, as I've learned, they just snarl up tighter and tighter, and they move quicker and quicker, and before you know it, you're just seesawing. Well, you've seen me shed. I'm like, ah!
Oh no, I've been into those situations myself.
Yeah, they're good for that. They're good at teaching you to be on your toes.
Definitely.
Yeah, what sort of qualities then, if you are reading, like what is your priorities?
That's a good point.
Do you like a stylish dog or a loose dog, or
I like quite a stylish dog, especially when it's on its driving, concentrated, just on its job. Good movement at the pen, things like that I'll look for. Yeah.
And your dogs are good listeners too.
Yeah.
Like, I think
some of them.
Sometimes. No, I think they're all pretty good listeners. And when say you had a dog that was like tight, how would you go about putting them out? Do you do it right from the get-go when they're young, or is it something you go, right, now I'm going to sort that?
I don't touch outrun till at least maybe 14 months.
Yeah.
Because I find you just put something else wrong.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite an important thing. So the majority of them come themselves, but the ones that don't, as long as you've got a good stop in them, you can stop them.
Yeah.
And just bend them again.
Yeah. And do you teach the stop on sheep, or do you teach it away from sheep before?
On sheep.
On sheep, yeah. And I mean, do you teach them to stay on their feet or go down, or do you just?
I prefer them on their feet.
Yeah.
I don't like them going down, but some of them just automatically go down.
Yeah.
And you can't really do much about that.
And do you start them off just in a field? How many sheep would you have?
Just half a dozen
Yeah.
trainers just to get them going.
Yeah, and just let them have a play.
Yeah, until they're...
And are you one? Because we find people kind of fall into two camps. Some people will be like, right, I must get the outrun and the flanks perfect before I move on to driving. And some people are just like, anything, you know.
You want to get the outrun kind of decent before you start driving.
Yeah, I was saying, like, it's interesting. A few people have said, like, if you don't get the outrun done well, or they're not outrunning well, if you move on to driving, you can kind of mess up their outrun a wee bit.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and I'll just start the driving in circles.
Yeah.
Rather than, you know, because if you start driving away too young and the dog starts looking back at you because it's not got its confidence, and then it can get into a habit. If they're going round a circle, they've got one eye on you all the time and they're happier and they're not looking back at you.
Feel reassured.
Yeah.
And have you ever had any bad grippers?
No, I put the grip out straight away.
Yeah.
Straight away. Yeah, that's what I got taught to do.
Yeah.
And then put the grip in as a command.
Okay.
For catching. And that's good. Lambing time's the time to do that.
Yeah.
And when we're galling these hills, you could come, wherever you get 200 yows coming to a 10-foot gate and lambs breaking.
I can imagine, especially after you've spent hours and hours getting them in.
So there's maybe 16 dogs there between the four of us. So it gets into a bit of, and you just put the catch into them and they start catching it. So it's quite easy to train them that way.
And will you use your trial dogs for lambing?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And catching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they've got to do a bit of everything.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Have you ever had a dog not look at lambs?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I wonder. We had one not look at lambs.
Misty was bad for it to start with.
Yeah.
But I've had one or two, and then as soon as I get into this gallon and the lambs breaking and they see all the other dogs, I think this is great fun. So
there's a pylon. Let's go.
It soon changes.
And is there anything that you would see in a dog that would make you sell it and move it on? Like any bad habits or faults that you're like, I can't put up with that?
I'm probably quite fussy actually. I'll probably get rid of them a bit too quickly sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah,
for what reasons? What's like the deadly sin?
It doesn't take much to annoy me. It doesn't take much to annoy me.
Chucks its bowl in the kennel. That's it. It's
gone. Yeah. There's a few things.
I don't know. It's we're a bit like that too. I think we probably give them less of the benefit of the doubt now. You forget the good ones. You look back and you're like, oh yeah, remember that dog used to do that, and now it doesn't. Yeah. But we don't give them.
I think the more success you have as well, you think you're looking for that same dog again, and you don't see it in the ones you've got, and you, oh no, I'm getting rid of that. But
yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because, like you said at the beginning, you feel like, oh, this is dead easy. I don't know what is it about the beginning. I think because you maybe try more, and I think you're a better bond with them at the beginning. You kind of spend a bit more time together, and then you have the blueprint for training, and you're like, right, this is what needs to happen. Yeah, and maybe a bit less flexible.
They're all different at different stages. If I think they're lacking a bit of power, I'll get rid of them pretty quick. Yeah, but you can also put the power into them a bit as well.
Do you believe that? Yep.
I've seen it done.
Yeah. That's good. Oh, there's hope for me yet.
Up to a certain extent. To a certain extent.
How do you go about that then? Are you like...
That's in the box, falling through pens in the fangs.
Aye.
That's the way to do that. Just keep at them. Build their confidence up.
Pace, like how do you put the pace into your dogs?
Well, if they're coming too fast, just stop. And then once the sheep coming in, just start them again. If they're coming too fast, you can just stop again. And then they eventually get the hang of it.
Aye, they're not getting stopped if they're nice.
Yeah.
The dogs have got really good pace. Like, they always look really nice.
I don't like them abusing the sheep.
No.
Action. No.
But I guess that's something you probably learned from here, is just like...
if they're up too fast, the back one's just going to peel off and lie down. And if the leader's miles in front.
Yeah.
So you've got to watch.
No, I think it is. It's a valuable thing. Like, it's something I've only just learned recently. Because, gathering them out of fields is totally different to gathering them on hills. Yeah. Hills have got a long way to go, so they just need to be chirruped along. Yeah, especially if they've got a pair of twins. They're always at the back. Have a young single or a Yale Joe running as fast as it can at the front. So. Yeah, and they're working hard. The fastest way sometimes in the hill is the slowest way, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that's a really good way. If you start wanting to get on too fast, you'll get into trouble. And everyone wanting to use their dogs sometimes as well. I'm like, sometimes you can just shout at them and they'll move.
Yeah.
And you don't need to be sending the dog, but
No.
everyone's always so excited to use their dogs. We find it even with people coming to the farm, you know, we've had like helpers and stuff. And
Aye.
they just end up abusing the sheep because they want to use their dog. And I'm like, that's not what the dogs are supposed to be there for the sheep, not the other way around.
I know.
But
You said you like a dog that's good at shedding and penning. Is that something that you can put into a dog?
Yeah, you can practice. You can practice. Mainly when I was doing it, I was maybe loading even sheep into a trailer that's parked in against the gate.
Yeah.
And letting them do as much as you can. Just taking a bit longer.
Aye.
And they get a feel for it.
Aye.
Yeah. But if they're on their feet, it makes a huge difference at a pen.
His dad as well, a master at penning, that Silver, wasn't he? He was
he was a good
he could
penner.
just stand there and he would just be like,
Peter Harrington told me, you know, old Peter,
uh-huh.
he says the best two penny dogs he's ever seen was Spot and Silver.
And
he's got on both
joined
sides.
in, yeah. Oh, it's yeah.
Hey,
I never
so
thought...
next trial, Matt, I'll probably not get pen with me.
It's always what happens and you're like, where did I say?
I never said anything to Spot at the pen.
Really?
No, didn't. Very rarely had to say anything. All I said was Spot here, and that was it.
And he just knew to put them in?
Aye, and he was just...
I wish I'd seen him. Where did you go from Spot then? Like, who was next? Who followed Spot?
Spot. Well, the next decent one would have been Missy. I had Podge.
Oh yeah, Podge, that's right. Yeah.
He should have made the team, actually.
Yeah.
I had a few before.
It's hard, like I was saying that to you, and like there's so few opportunities in a dog's life. Like by the time you got them trained, say they're like 3, maybe 4. And then so you've only got maybe 4 or 5 nationals, maybe 6. And then you just need like a bad sheep, a bad judge, bad weather, unlucky. You know what I mean? There's
Spot only made 2 times in the team.
But you won the Supreme.
I was 1st and 3rd. Jan would be the first kind of decent one I had.
Yeah.
Aye. She was a good wee bitch. She made the team 3 times.
That's impressive.
Aye.
It's sweet because Scotland as well. Scotland, like, especially that time, was
DL,
so strong.
Alistair
so
McRae.
Strong. Yeah.
And then I had a son of Jan, Don, and I ran on the Thursday, and I got 380 points, and I was sitting 2nd. And by lunchtime the next day, I was sitting about 7th.
Right.
And well, you know, the 2nd is not too many dogs. So it was only in the afternoon, there would be 14 dogs to go. That'd be right, 14. 9 of them came in, and I finished 16th.
Oh, you're joking.
Just one after. I think 7 out of the last 9 dogs came in.
The sheep just got really good, did they?
They were really good. The dogs were good. Aye, the sheep were tremendous.
How many shots have you had at the Supreme?
I think I've been in the team 14.
You've been in the team 14
times.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's so impressive. And how many times have you been through to the final?
Well, these questions. My memory's not great. 2 with Jan. 1 with Gail. 2 with Spot. Is that 5?
Aye.
Once with Misty. Twice with Mark. And once with Pete.
It's impressive.
Aye.
You're always there or thereabouts,
over
aren't you?
50%, it's not too bad.
Oh,
yeah.
It is.
No, I've just been lucky.
Have you had any favourite courses? Like favourite courses at nationals and internationals?
The international one that I won was obviously my favourite.
Funny that. And why was that your favourite? Was it?
It was more like the hill. It was a hill. Wasn't a hill, but it was a slope.
Aye.
A steep slope, which suited me better.
Yeah.
Than a flat field.
Yeah.
And same with when Spot was 3rd in Ireland, it was the same. Again, it was a
up a slope.
Up a slope.
I think those fields are always better, aren't they? They're better from a spectator point of view as well. If you can see, you know, I see clearly, it makes a big difference.
What are you looking for in a run?
I like the straight lines. I do. Nice turns. One of my first experiences of this was at the local trial. I was running in Jan and just out of nurseries, and you want to win your local trial. And I won the local, but I didn't win the open. I was a point behind, I think Davy Shannon it was. And Alistair McRae was the judge. So just young, I thought, I'll go and ask him where he took the points off me, because I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
So he says, Neil, I'll tell you, when you came through your cross drive gate, you had a bend coming back to the pen. I took 3 off you, and that's where you lost it. And he says to me, you'll not do that again, will you? I says, no. And I do like nice
Yeah.
dogs and that,
Yeah.
because it cost me my first open win.
Yeah. But it's true.
So
like it's good
was
if
a
someone
learning.
tells you that though as
Well,
well.
I went and asked him, so I recommend going to ask if you're not sure. If you want to know in a nice way, just why did you? So I don't mind anybody ask me,
I think
because I got some good advice.
Yeah, you learn from that, don't you? I guess
and that's the important thing, to learn from it.
Yeah. So you don't do it again, or people are just constantly making the same mistakes and getting annoyed at their points, and you're like, no, you're losing it there.
Aye, yep.
And it's been like Scotland, especially the time you were competing, was so strong, like you say, with like Bobby Dale, Alistair McRae, and
Johnny Wilson, Stuart Davison. They were always in the team. Johnny Templeton.
Yeah,
every year.
hellish competitive.
Young Johnny Templeton as well. They seem to be in the team every year.
What's your favourite trials to go to?
Favourite trials? Kilberry was one of the favourite ones, but it stopped a couple of years. I don't know if you ever went to that one. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
The scenery and against a wee brave face and all the community there and doing the home baking and trying to outdo each other. And it was really, really good. Good atmosphere.
We're losing a lot of trials though.
What happened?
I don't think so. The person running it shifted job, and the next person that's the manager there he's not interested. So once they go, they very rarely come back again.
And once they get shifted, I see a lot of the show trials shift from the show, and they're only ever a couple of years off finishing completely once they've shifted from the show, because the show's what motivates them to host it, I think.
Always take you an hour to the top. It's really quite rocky in behind.
How are your knees? Like,
well,
does it not put a lot of pressure on your knees?
Aye. It's funny, I went to physio about 20 years ago and I've got a problem with this one. And it's because I was coming down the hill the same way all the time.
Leading, that taking all the
so
weight.
So see when you do it the other way, it's like right with your left hand if you're right-handed. It's really strange. So I tried to mix it up. Well, that old retired shepherd that was advising me, he used to work in Glamaston. And he says, Neil, get off these hills by the time you're 55, because they'll get the better of you. You won't get the better of them. And soon as the sheep were starting to beat me in the top, like for pace, I thought, I hate sheep beating me.
No, I know, you get angry.
They come off that top. This is called the pot, because it's like a pot lid at the top.
Oh, okay.
So they come off the top running, and they'll just split like that. So half of them will go left, and half of them will go right. And if you don't catch them before they get round that corner, it's all cliffs and the pads. So you've got to get right in the pads.
And they can run really fast on a pad, but the dog's got to cover them on rougher stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't gather. I'm terrible on a hill. Useless.
I quite enjoyed it because it was great seeing their faces when they thought they got away.
Aye.
And they stuck, and then
Aye.
When they're getting away, they're going up, and when you've got them beat, they go down. They go into a burn or something.
And then honestly, it makes you hate sheep though, doesn't it?
I did have one particularly nasty one.
But the thing is to teach them as well, they teach others. And especially in places like this where it's important, like say, I don't know if you've got neighbours or who you march with, but see when you're gathering them to dip them for scab or something, and if one gets away, the whole job you may as well not have bothered.
Well, I gathered it for 2 years by myself when I was early 30s. It was a nightmare.
Oh, I don't know.
I had one cast show that didn't go to the market. She'd gone under the watergate below the farm, and I saw her all winter run about beside the river. And she went down to the bottom fields. I thought, all by herself. I thought, I'll just leave her because I'll go and get her. She'll be into the river and I'll wait down the hill. I'll wait till the ewes and lambs go. Well, she disappeared. I thought, she's way down the hill. Wait to gather this hill. Came right to the end of the gala, and I'm going back and forward. And here she was, and I saw her, and she looked up, boof, straight down the hill.
Oh, really?
Took about 15 years with her. And I was just too narrow. So radiant. So the next Hill Games, I was out gallant. Everything's going well. And here she appeared. I did the same again. Well, I just abandoned the gala straight down, got her in the burn, and she's losing her just.
And they're just bad to the bone, those ones.
I felt great, and I'm sitting there, sweat pouring off me, and I look, I'm going to go back up there.
Your whole day is like, it costs you so much time. They cost you so much time.
And energy.
I just don't know. I think it's a different breed being a hill farmer, because I just can't. I like going into the field and everything's where it should be, and even if the stuff got out, it's not outrageous.
Yeah.
But I did one summer on a hill farm in Northumberland, and I got so pissed off and annoyed. It became like a battle every day, a war that we're fighting with the sheep, and I just used to get so angry with them. I just don't think I have the temperament.
No. So we only gathered, well, when I was a boy, it was spring, June, July, and September, and that was it. And then latterly, it was just July, September.
So how many? So you got 200 acres in By.
It's about 200.
So do you do a lot? Like, I guess your young dogs and stuff, you can do quite a lot of training. Like 200 acres is a lot if in By.
They're quite small fields, so the hill was good for the getting out runs in them and turning back especially. But on the hill, when you're turning back, if you do this like they do at the International, it was hopeless up there. The sheep be away. It's always thought it a bit of a disadvantage.
But obviously, well, it's worked all right for you though. Like winning the qualifying, winning the Supreme, you know, it's like you're doing all right.
It's that long ago. Who told you? I think the bigger the field suits me and the dogs better.
See,
you have more time to readjust. Mine maybe run a wee bit tighter sometimes. You don't get away with that in the wee fields.
No, because you're bouncing them off fences and stuff straight away. And
so I think the size of the course suits me a wee bit better.
But you must. The pressure must suit you as well. Like, do you get nervous?
Yeah. Still, I think you have to have nerves to want to compete.
Yeah,
you know.
But nervous, I guess that you'll have more nerves before a national than an open anyway. And I think that probably helps you.
I feel the nerves before I go on.
Yeah,
and then try and loosen up once you're out there.
Do you get nervous when you're out there? Like, say if you're having a good run.
Sometimes
it comes back.
Yeah, it does. Sometimes you just got to control it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can feel a wee bit nervous. And you know, when you go to the national, everybody's wanting to that 15. You know, every single person wants to get that 15.
Yeah, you're so right.
So.
And it's not easy.
No, it's not. It's not.
And I think the dogs being away from home, the pressure being on, you being, staying away from home.
And they feel you. They feel your nerves as well.
Yeah.
You know, and why is he acting like that today?
Yeah.
Why is he clapping me?
What's this? Like gentle caress?
Yeah, I'm not used to this.
Right, so we've got a quick little quiz to wind it up.
Oh,
no, quiz. A quiz. No, it's just like you say this or that. So it's either one or the other. I'll give you two options. Gun to the head. You got to choose one. Okay. Right. Dog or a bitch?
It's nice. Maybe dog.
Yeah. Quad or a gator?
Quad.
Rough coat or smooth coat?
Smooth.
Black and white or red and white?
Black and white.
Ewe lambs or ewes? This is in a trialing situation.
Ewes.
Starter or dessert?
Starter.
Mules or blackies?
Blackies.
Finger whistle or artificial whistle?
Finger.
Custard or ice cream?
Ice cream.
Pen or shoot?
Pen.
Stylish or loose-eyed?
Stylish.
Wellies or boots?
Wellies. As you can see.
Run number 1 at the National or run number 150?
1.
1. That's great. That was really well timed. Did he get you?
He almost got you. It's quite close. It did catch my eye there.
So there you have it. The interview with Neil McVicar. I really hope you enjoyed it. We certainly did, didn't we?
Yeah, it's like so nice that people of Neil's calibre take the time of day and share their thoughts on dogs, trialing, farming even. It was like such a good time.
Yeah. So big thanks to Neil there for having us. It was really interesting to see how the terrain can alter the type of dog that someone is looking for. But yeah, really, really informative and hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks. Bye.